So it's currently 6 minutes past the hour of 3. In a few moments, I'll be telling you who is seated right here before me, ready to share his joy. It's time for us to talk to the very special person seated right here before me, a perfect gentleman. Well, he's been described by many as someone whose passion lies in giving back to society. Now, he's been very instrumental in serving as a great mentor to many who aspire to better their lives. He holds a Doctor of Ministry degree from the Liberty University in Lynchburg, Virginia. Definitely a dedicated Christian leader, entrepreneur, and an author. Now, he's privileged to have traveled to over 12 countries working with people of all sorts. He also owns and operates a family digital printing press known as the Quick Copy Columbus, formerly the Inkwell Printing, right here in Columbus. And he's very astute, he's brilliant, he's eloquent, outstanding, and the list goes on and on and on. And as an achiever, we right here at Afro 614 celebrating his legacy. And so we say, welcome, Dr. Kwesi Gyimah. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Right. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. And you?
Well, I'm feeling good. But like I said, the death of Christine Achu, it kind of hit me hard. But, we have to do what we have to do.
We all woke up to that news, and I'm disappointed and sad, especially for the young children that is left behind.
Definitely. So, you as a man, definitely you would be a football fan. I'm not too much of a football fan. I only watch Black Stars when they are playing. Do you have any fond memories of him, Christian Achu?
Yes. I think when he came on the scene, he was being compared to Messi and just his style of playing. And so many of us took interest in him, hoping that, hey, this is the person that Ghana needs to get us out of the drought that we've been in for many years. I think the last time I followed him was when everyone showed the last goal he scored for his club. I think a few days before the earthquake.
Is it Hataya Sport something?
Yes, in Turkey. Yeah.
Right.
And I've been following his philanthropic work, paying fines for inmates and getting them out. That has been the most thing that I follow for him. He's gotten many people out in the prison system in Ghana.
Well, it's definitely a sad situation. What can we say? Right. And so just before we delve into this conversation, your journey today, I just shared that there are a lot of people who are afraid to go after their dreams because they feel that, they might fail and people will judge them, people will laugh at them. I'm asking you this because I had the privilege to go through your YouTube videos yesterday, and what I deduced was that you are an advocate for motivation and inspiration. So as someone who motivates people, who's always encouraging people, what would you tell someone who's sitting somewhere in a box thinking that, I just don't want to go out in full, let me just sit somewhere in my corner?
I think humans are afraid of what they don't know. And for many of us from our culture, we always think of what can go wrong. My philosophy is, what if nothing goes wrong? There's a difference between I tried and failed and if I try, I will fail. And many people stop at if I try, I would fail. And what if? And so there has to be that point where the what if stands out and you just go for it. You can only have two outcomes, I tried, it succeeded, I failed, I've learned a lesson, and I've moved on.
So you out there, I guess you had it, I guess said you just have to try because you never know what will come out of it. So please go out, as I just said, and we just hope we've encouraged someone today. So Dr. Gyimah, I know the journey to becoming who you are today, it's not something that just happened. Can you share with me how it all started, where you were born and how growing up was like?
So I was born in Ghana, and at the age of 2, my dad relocated us to Nigeria. He was a teacher. And I think the Nigerian upbringing has a lot to do with my risk-taking part, the side of me. I venture into so many things, and I have this mentality that what if it goes right? And so from Nigeria, I did all of my schooling in Nigeria up to second year in college, and then went to Trinidad and Tobago and finished college, and then relocated to the United States. So that has been my journey in a nutshell.
In a nutshell. So, do you have any memories of when you went to college? Do you have any memories of what happened?
Yeah, so I went to an Adventist university in Nigeria.
Okay.
At the time, the school was very diverse, and so we had people from many of the African countries. And so that was my first exposure to diversity. And so what stood out for me was just taking interest in knowing people from different cultures. And with the background of a pastor, I enjoy studying people, their cultures, and trying to find creative ways to present the gospel to them or communicate with them. And so I've always loved that about all the schools that I've been in, the diversity. And so Columbus was just a perfect fit for me, diversity.
So did you always have the intention to relocate to the United States, like you said?
No.
No, so what happened?
So I wanted to go to the UK. I'd visited it twice. And so when I finished school in Trinidad, my dad wanted me to come here. I didn't want to come. And so I planned to flunk the U.S. Embassy interview. I was advised not to tell them I had finished school. And first thing I told the guy was, hey, I just graduated. And he says, congratulations. And so I didn't want to come here. But in hindsight, I think it was a good move for me to be here with the opportunities and all of that. America was the last place on my list to be.
So you just said your dad was trying to get you here.
Yeah.
So can I say that, you didn't have a really bad background, because if your dad was here, that means you didn't have to go through any struggle at all growing up?
I won't say that. Not everybody here has it that rosy. And as a matter of fact, when I came here and walked into my dad's room, I think he could sense I won't say disappointment, but I felt as if we were just in somebody else's home and we're now going to his home. And I think he sensed the confusion on my face. He was just in a one-bedroom apartment. And I looked around, and then he tapped me and said, hey, I sacrificed all of this so that you and your sister could go through school. I could have bought anything I want, lived anywhere I wanted. And I think that was a big lesson for me to appreciate him more. And I tell most people, appreciate the people that are sacrificing for you, because he did all of that just to make sure that we had a good education. And so from the outside, you think it was easy, but there was some sacrifices somewhere from our parents.
Right. So would you say that the United States has helped in shaping you?
Yes. I treat this country as a buffet. Pick what would help you and don't focus on what won't help you. When we all go to the buffet, we see things we don't want to eat. We don't spend energies trying to discuss those things. You are excited about the things you love and you indulge in them. And so that's how I treat this country. This country has so many opportunities, and I have just focused on the opportunities, tapped into them. I've failed at some, did good at some, and we're forging ahead.
Right. And so that brings me to this. I realized that you own a family printing company that's the Quick Copy Columbus. Can you, share something about it?
So Inkwell is a printing press, and I've always believed in this thing called crazy promptings. As Christians, there is this aspect of us that you hear God prompt you. And so many years ago, the former owner of the Inkwell, I sat on a board with him. And so I missed a meeting. And before that, I had gone to his shop to pick up something that he wanted to print for us, or he had printed. And I jokingly, he looked tired. So I said, hey, what's going on? And he said he's getting old and eventually he's going to retire. And I said, what's going to happen to the business? He said, well, he might just sell it. And so I jokingly told him, don't sell this business to anyone. When you're ready to sell, call me. It was a joke. 5 years later, I missed a board meeting and he kept calling me. And I purposely ignored his call. And my wife said, just tell him you couldn't make the meeting. And so after about 3 days, I picked up the call and said, hey, and before I could say anything, he said, remember you asked me to call you when I'm ready to sell the business? Well, my wife and I have decided to sell, and we wanted to let you know. And in that moment, I almost told him, hey, man, that was a joke. But then that still small voice that prompts us said, don't say anything. And I thanked him, went back to the drawing table with my wife, invited my brother-in-law. We looked at it, and here we are today.
Right. So you said it's a family printing company. So does it consist of you and your other family members?
Me and my wife. My wife and I.
Just the two
Yes,
of you.
my brother-in-law was part of it, but he's no longer part of it. But he helped with the foundation and all of that. He had a print background. I knew nothing about printing. Everything I know now is what I've learned on the job.
All right. So what are some of the business opportunities in those areas, the printing area?
So before I bought it, most people discouraged me. They said, hey, the whole world is moving digital, and the print industry is going to go away. But I spoke to somebody else who said, listen, print is not going away anytime. Print is going to be here for many, many years. And if you've noticed, people are not clicking on their emails to check on ads anymore. Gmail even makes it interesting by putting them in different zones or folders. And so what advertisers are doing now is that they are mailing stuff to you. Before you throw it away, you have to look at it. And so there are many opportunities in the print business. There are so many things that you cannot print from your home computer or your home printer. You have to find somebody to do that, and that's where we come in. But being a pastor, I wanted to have a place that I can print for churches and myself. My dad and I, we design a lot of Bible games. We have a lot of manuscripts and all of that. And so my goal was, if I have this, we would just print our own stuff and print for other people at the same time.
Right. So if you just tuned in, this is Afro 614 and it's Legacy Moments with your girl, Achua Anochua. Our guest today is Dr. Gyimah, and he's sharing his journey with us. Right. So, Doctor, let's talk about family now. Can you share something about your family?
Yes, I'm married. I have 2 wonderful kids. My wife is a nurse administrator. And I have my daughter is in, I think, 4th grade, and my son is in 2nd grade.
Lovely. Yeah. So how long have you been married?
I'm married for over 13 years.
13 years. Right. So what is that one advice that you would give people who also want to get married, and how they should be able to, make their marriage work? Like just how you have been married for about 13 years.
So I think there is a misconception about marriage, because people have seen so many marriages fail. And what we have noticed as a pastor, I had to go through counseling. Counseling is so important, and being counseled by the right person. We were lucky to be counseled by a senior pastor who told me so many things that I did not even know as a pastor. And so it's important. It's marriage is beyond the wedding. And what I've found out in many instances is we talk about communication, or you have to communicate well, but you cannot communicate what you don't know. And so it is important that we understand who the opposite sex is. Men have to know how women are wired, and women have to know how men are wired. And once we understand that, and then you see that you're taking one person from a different background, bringing them to meet somebody else from a different background, and they meet and live together as one. And that's where the challenge is. Once you understand those fundamental or physiological differences of how God created us, the journey becomes less stressful as it would have been if you did not have any of those ideas. And those things should be coming during the counseling process.
So you've just talked about counseling, yet we have lots of people who go to counseling and still, have problems in the marriage. So what exactly then is the problem?
So the details that are discussed in counseling, it's not just enough to tell the husband to be nice to his wife and to tell the wife to cook for your husband and all of that. Those are obvious things. If you don't tell them, it's expected. But finances have to be discussed. How many kids do you guys want to have? Where do you want to live? Talk about even sex and all of that, career and all of that. Everything has to be discussed so that there are no surprises. Once the couple know all of these things in details, they can now make a decision that, hey, maybe this is not for us, or maybe we should take our time to mature a little bit, or it's not just for us, or this is something that we want to move forward with.
Okay, so what of someone who's been through counseling and they've agreed that this is, let's say, this is the number of kids we want to have, this is what we want to do. They agree on all that, but then get into the marriage and start facing problems.
So the knowledge you have doesn't prevent the problems. You have to put into practice what you've heard. And I think the practical aspect of it is what creates the problem. Because if during the dating time I'm being nice to my then wife and I am taking her out, I'm doing all of this good stuff to win her, and I get married to her and I don't continue building on that, eventually we'll have problems. And as life happens, things change. The kids come in, things change. Career changes, things change. You get into school, so many things could change. But the fundamental thing is I understand how a woman is wired. I understand how God has created her. So that, like when my wife gave birth, when we had our first child, there were so many things that I learned as a father and as a husband. She's changed. Everything has changed about her emotions and all of that. My mother-in-law came and lived with us. And so during that time, there were so many things that I had to learn to step in and do to help her. If I had just been the typical man to step aside and things wouldn't have worked out. And all of these things happen. You go home and your wife is tired. You should be able to know that she's tired and help with certain things. And so you have to know that it's a journey that we are all on, and we're supporting each other, and there are roles that each one has to play to help. I went to, I think, Kenya, and somebody asked me a trick question, that is it okay for a man to do house chores? A woman asked that question. And I knew where she was coming from. And I said, well, I wash dishes in my house. I do laundry. I take out the trash. I do anything that needs to be done in the house. I cook. When I step out of my house, there is nothing written on me that shows that this guy takes out trash. What if it's written on me? It is my house. It's my trash. You understand? And so I think when we have that understanding, and it doesn't mean that it's going to be smooth, but you understand that if something happens, you're able to talk about it and move on, because you have the ultimate goal of being better couples and better parents for your children.
Right. Thank you so much. I'm really learning a lot from you today. Okay, so you also have been traveling a lot. You've been to over 12 countries. So how do you manage that with family?
So many years ago, my wife and I, we decided to do mission trips. I started with Ghana. I would go to a remote church and offer them leadership trainings. And the goal was to get some leadership gurus from here and take them to these places. What has happened over the years is it's improved people's lives, because the goal was to get it to places that would normally not get anyone from outside, or even the average taxi driver who is doing his daily work. You sit in the taxi. That 15 to 20 minutes, give them something of value that they would have to pay several thousands of dollars to get. I enjoy doing that. That woman by the street side that you're buying tomatoes from, how can you make her become a better business person by sharing stuff? And so we started doing that. We've done a lot of prison work in the Kumasi Central Prison, where we've something. That's why I got involved in following Christian Achu's story, because we started something similar to what he's doing. He's doing it on a larger scale. We started on a very small scale, paying fines for people that were there for, let's say, 200 cedis or 6 months in jail, And so that has been what we've done over the years in different places. And I love to travel. And while you travel, do some good as you go.
And so whilst you were traveling, were you doing this with the kids, or that was before the kids. Was that before the kids or after kids came
So
in?
I traveled, most of the travels was before I even got married.
Okay.
Before I got married. And my wife loves to travel too. We've not been able to go together as a family. We've visited Ghana before, but eventually that is what we want to do. Get into more of these things. I've done an average of twice a year to Ghana, just to help support, give back to Ghana. We all complain about the country and all of that, but I think there are things that each one of us can do in our own little way, changing the life of one person at a time, and hopefully they can change the life of one person, and then we begin to see that ripple effect take place.
That's very generous of you. And so, what other countries have you visited apart from Ghana?
Zambia, Kenya, Curacao, France, Canada. I did, I think, 3 to 4 months of book selling. We call it corporatal work in Toronto, Canada. We knocked on an average of, we did about 400 hours of just knocking on doors and selling books to people. Of course, I grew up in Nigeria, been to Togo, Benin, Ivory Coast, and the list is still, I have a few countries on my checklist that I want to visit. Yeah.
So, what do you enjoy about traveling?
Just people, you know. All of us are humans. There's not much difference. You know, our cultures may make us different. I enjoy just studying people. I love to just observe people, how they do things, and then start thinking of creative ways, like I mentioned earlier. How can I communicate with this person? How can I tap into what I already know about their culture? Right. And it's giving me the advantage of mixing with so many people of different backgrounds, and it's easier for me to do that. And I thank God for the ability He's given me to be able to do that and connect with different people.
Great. So we are still live right here on Afro 614 Multimedia with your girl Achua Anochwa, and Dr. Gyimah is sharing his journey with me, and I'm enjoying it. So if I hope you out there are also, you guys are also enjoying it. So Dr. Gyimah, what has been your proudest moment?
Proudest moment is when I got my doctorate. It was a historical event for us on both my mother's side and my father's side, to be the first to have a doctorate degree. And I did not see it as the only person with a doctorate degree. I always say I'm the first because I expect many other people to follow suit. And so that was the proudest moment for me amongst many others, just being able to achieve that, because I almost gave up along the way and just had that last push that God gave me the strength to sail through.
I guess there was some party and all that after you got that doctorate degree.
Yeah, my wife threw a surprise party for me. I'm not the party type. From my father's side, my wife's family, they celebrate everything. So on our birthdays, my mother-in-law and the family in Ghana would throw parties as if we are there. That's how much they enjoy celebration. But it was a good celebration. Yeah.
Great. And what has been your lowest moment? Has anyone done something to you that you sat down and you felt really, really bad?
So my lowest moment is when I discovered that I had wasted about 5 years of my life in this country. And when I got here, everybody was telling me to go into nursing. So I enrolled in the school, did some of the prereq classes, and as soon as I was done, I was told that there is a wait list, a 1-year wait list. And then somebody said, "Oh, if you had only talked to me, I'd have asked you to go to this other school." And then here I was, that other school, same story. And before I knew it, I had just wasted about almost 5 years. And eventually I had to look back and say, listen, I have a background in theology. There's so much that I can do ministry-wise and other things, other opportunities. Unfortunately, we didn't have people that would give you other ideas, would open your eyes to the opportunities here. And so that is something that I have taken upon myself to expose people to the different areas that this country has. and then leave people to make intelligent decisions. We're not all wired for certain occupations. We're not all wired for certain jobs. We're not all wired the same. Let people just flourish the way God has created them. We all have different fingerprints, and I don't think that our fingerprints were designed that way to make it easy for law enforcement to identify us. No, we are unique, and so is our journey and our assignments in this land.
Well, so that leads me to this follow-up question. You said you've taken it upon yourself to, help people find out their potentials, because what might be good for A might not be good for B. Now, there's that perception that Ghanaians, let me put it out with Ghanaians abroad, they're toxic. What do you have to say about that? Because people would advise you that do not go to where Ghanaians are. What would you say about that?
I have benefited a lot from the Ghanaian community. I'm a recipient of the love, and I think it all boils down to my philosophy of treating this place as a buffet. I always look out for the good in people, look out for the good in situations. And if you know what you want, if you're walking into a buffet, here you're going to enjoy some good grilled chicken, that's what you go for. And so knowing what I've always wanted to be successful here, I surrounded myself with people that are successful. And I think people always tell you what they know. I don't take secondhand information. I always go to the source. When I had some immigration challenges in this country, I would book an appointment and go to the immigration office, because they are the best people to tell me what I need to do. And what most people told me was the opposite. People even discouraged me. No, if you go, you'll be arrested. I said, well, if they arrest me, fine. I'd rather go and have them arrest me, or just stay and not do what maybe I should have done to avoid, And so we have to look at the positives. What can we glean from it? And also give people the benefit of the doubt, In as much as there is that tag that Ghanaians are toxic, there are good Ghanaians that are willing to help people become better versions of themselves. And I think if we are open-minded, we would come across such people.
Well, that's really great. I'm still on that very topic. So you said you want to help people explore their potential. So would you say that it's very okay for people to go to school when they come here to the state? Because that is one also tag that people talk about, that if you're here and if you don't go to school, it means you cannot reach your potential, the full potential that you want to have.
I like a quote that one of the former presidents, George Bush, said. He says the C students hire the A students to do all the job, all the work for them. I don't think all of us are cut out for that. And no offense to anyone. In every classroom, be it Ghana or here, there is that one student that will not make it academically. That student knows, the parents know it, the teachers know it, the school knows it. It won't happen. But then that same student, teach them a skill, teach them a trade, and see how successful they'll become. And I think it is one of the harms, I use that word cautiously, that has happened within our community. When we came here, there was this push for doctors and pharmacists and lawyers, and every parent wanted their child to be that. It is beautiful to have a pharmacist as a child. But then most of these kids were not cut out for that. Could they have done something else? Of course. I know people that are hairdressers that are making it. They are barbers, they are making it. They are seamstresses, they are making it. They do HVAC, electricians, and all of that. Do something that you love to do and you are wired for, So.
Right. So what is with that assertion that if you live in Ghana, you have to travel outside the United States or to any other European country before you're able to make it? What would you say about that?
It's a question that I think it's a little bit tricky to answer, because we are here. When I travel to Ghana, I see so many opportunities, so many opportunities, and you point them to people. And I have advised some of my close friends who want to come here and live well in Ghana, don't. Unless you come in here with proper documentation and all of that, stay where you are. You flourish there. Um,
And don't they tell you that why don't you come back home to live with them?
no, no. So I go there and I help them to see so many things there. You know, um, we have so many things that we're looking to do in Ghana because of the opportunities we see. And I think the exposure, I don't mind if everybody comes here. Come get the exposure. Because if I was in Ghana, I would not have been this much exposed. And because of my travel to different places, I see things differently. And I always look for opportunities. I have, and you hear me say this over and over, I have this buffet mentality. Look out for what you like and go for it. And so I'm always looking for opportunities, and I take risk. What if it goes well? You know, um, people can travel, but I think knowing what you want, because there are people that have traveled and have regretted it. They've turned out to be in worse conditions than they were, you know. And then we have friends in our family that live in Ghana and live better than some of us here. Some of them come here to shop. They come here just for vacation, and so traveling alone doesn't help you succeed unless you have you have a goal, you have something in mind, you have you have goals that you've set, you have something that you want to achieve. Just coming here doesn't cut it.
Right. And doctor, you have also written a lot of books. Can you share some with us?
Well, published one. I have a few manuscripts. So the first one that I released on my birthday last year was Trusting the Promiser to Keep His Promise. It came about as a conversation I overheard my kids having. My daughter at the time was was reading to my son, and she came across the word promise, and she asked him, "Do you know what a promise is?" And my son at the time said no. And then my daughter said, "Well, the promise is like when Daddy told us he would take us to Costco, and he never took us." And immediately it dawned on me that I can make many promises and break them. But then I'm also dealing with a God that I strive to be like, who doesn't break his promises. And that's why I wrote the book, that we can all trust the promiser to keep his promise. And that's the inspiration behind that. I have a few other books in the pipeline. I think one or two that I'm looking to have out in April, which is my next birthday that is coming up.
Right. So we have some, Facebook comments coming, and people are
Okay.
excited about what you're saying. Um, you know, I can see one here. It says, "Dr. Gyimah has been a blessing to me, and I would like to use this opportunity to thank him." So
Oh.
this is someone, saying good things about you. And let's see if I can read more.
And I think we all have people that have blessed us, and we can also say the same thing, just thanking the people that have made us who we are. And that's why I can never say anything bad about the Ghanaian community. I have benefited from some good Ghanaians in this city, and I would be ungrateful not to acknowledge that and say anything bad about the Ghanaian community as a whole. You know, we are good people. There is that goodness in us, in spite of what.
So why then that perception? Because it looks like it's almost everyone says it. Why then that perception? If we know we are good people, why then that perception? Because
but
it's out there.
At the end of the day, we also have to realize that we are all humans. You know, we make mistakes. We don't always do things right. You know, my experience, I've had negative experiences with people, but I would not use that to say that, hey, all Ghanaians are bad. I grew up in Nigeria, and if you present two people, if you present a Ghanaian and a Nigerian to do business, I would gladly do business with a Nigerian. I understand Nigerians. Many people would not say that. And so take the good in people and celebrate that. I've heard a lot about that, and I think we have to find a way to build each other up within our community. There's so much that we can achieve if that happens.
Right. So if you just joined us, this is Afro 614 and we are live right here. This is a Legacy Moment with Dr. Gyimah. I'm learning so much. I guess you've also learned so much. What I've learned from you right now, what really struck with me was you were saying that life is like a buffet. Go out and see what works for you. But it looks like lots of people are copying blindly. You come to the United States and the first thing people say is go into nursing because that is what will give you money.
And I think one of the downsides is that we tend to become like the people that first host us. So if you come to this country and you love pizza, chances are your first host introduced you to a lot of pizza. And so if you go to many of our Ghanaian homes, you tend to see the same appliances because we like to copy, we like to do what other people have done. I think it's important for us to be ourselves. And those of us that are here, we have to also be comfortable to let people be who they are when they come to this country, you know. We cannot, most of these things happen as a result of people trying to live their dreams in other people. If I couldn't be a nurse, there's no way that I want to push somebody. Nursing is great. My wife is a nurse. We have great nurses out there. But majority of the nurses don't have the joy that they had going into it. The money is good, but I think we should let people do what they want to do. And if we can help them become better in what they are doing, do it like that, because not everybody is cut out for it. And I'm glad I did not go into nursing, even though I love the health field and all of that. I like what I do on the side, and that's just what it is.
Great. And so listening to you, you are indeed a force to reckon with, you know. Do you see any of the traits you have in you in your kids?
Yes. So my daughter, we were driving to church one day, and she said she wanted to have a lot of money and build a big house and have all the homeless come and take a shower, have somewhere to sleep, somewhere to eat. We've taught them generosity. We've let them talk about their ambitions and what they want to do. We've not tried to coerce them into this is what you want to do. And so I kind of see that aspect of thinking big, if I should say, in my kids. And my son, the other day, I brought him here, showed him how to make a booklet, a little booklet that I was making. And he said, wow, Daddy, I want to come and work here. And in my heart, it gave me so much joy that now this is somebody that I can raise up to take over this business, you know. And so we've talked about it. I say, hey, during the summer, I'm going to bring you, teach you how to do some more cool stuff with printing, you know. I won't just say, hey, I want it to be a printer. I want it to do that. I want it to come from him. Let him see what I do, get interested, and then say, hey, I want to be like you.
And would you be disappointed if growing up, he decides to, veer off to a different field?
No, I won't. I tell people I will not even be disappointed if my dad calls and says, I've disowned you. We are humans. We shouldn't expect too much from people, because when we do and there's any change, then we are let down. I think the greatest hope that we should have is in God, who doesn't change. But as humans, I won't be disappointed, you know. I'll try to reason with him, but if he chooses to do something else, maybe that's where his passion is. Go for it, and I'll support him as a father.
So what is your advice, your last advice? What advice would you give anyone in this world? What advice would you give to someone who wants to be themselves, that is one?
We are unique beings. God has created each person to fulfill a specific assignment that no one will be able to fulfill if they don't fulfill it. And what I tell people and what I'll share with everyone is, be authentic, be yourself, be vulnerable before God. Just be who you are, and then let God take you to where he wants you to be, and to make you into the person that he wants you to be. So that's be authentic. I think we've tried to become like other people. We try to copy people, and it has a way of distracting you from who you are and actually achieving what your dreams are. Just be who you are. I think it's easier for God to work with that than trying to be something else that you are not.
And do you think a lot of people are struggling with being who they are?
I think so. I believe so. When we get into this whole thing of people telling us what to do and how to do it, and we should all appreciate people advising us. People can advise us. We can take advice, but at the end of the day, we shouldn't be struggling too much because we want to live the dreams that other people are imposing on us.
Right. So, Mr. Gyimah, you have some comments here. This from Helena Bentel. And she says, Pastor Gyimah is an amazing soul. We are all trying to follow in his steps. Such a great person, yet very humble. And then this is from Seth Note. He says, I saw his books, but could I contact him personally?
Yes.
And how do they contact you?
Just through Facebook. Send me a Facebook message.
Just Facebook message. Right. Would you like to put your social media handles out if anyone wants to contact you?
Hey, that's a good question. Yes, I would like to. If I know them for the top of my, yeah. Is it okay to maybe have one of you put it out there? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that would help.
All right, so that
we can have that.
So we'll definitely put it down, maybe
yes, in the comments area.
In the comment section.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so all those who want to contact Dr. Gyimah, we will have his details in the comment section, so you can reach out to him. He's very available to talk to anyone who wants to, talk to him. Dr. Mentor, let's also know that he mentors a lot of people who want to better their lives. Dr. Mentor, I want to better my life. I believe you would mentor me should I come to you?
No, so yes, I think all of us should be able to help somebody else, and that's the whole concept about grace. If we've received so much grace from God, we'll be selfish not to extend that grace. And so as I have been helped by so many people, and that's why I do what I do, so that legacy that people have left in me goes on to somebody else, and hopefully they do the same. And I think if we keep doing that within our community, we would go so much further than where we are now.
Right. So that has been Legacy Moment right here on Afro 614 with your girl, Ajwa Anachwa. And my guest today has been Dr. Gyimah. I believe you've learned so many things. I have learned so many things. Like I said, what really struck me was that life is like a buffet, and you should go with what works for you. Yeah. Also note that Dr. Gyimah is available if you want to contact him. We'll definitely put his details in the comment section. So if you want to contact him, you can just go through the comment section and get all those details and contact him. So that has been Legacy Moment right here on Afro 614 with Dr. Gyimah. Dr. Gyimah, we here at Afro 614, we want to say thank you so much for the lives that you've been impacting. You are so much exuding positivity on the Ghanaian society here in the U.S. and even out of the U.S. Thank you so much. You are indeed a force to reckon with. And I don't even know what to say, but Ayiko, well done and congratulations.
I appreciate you having me here, and I also congratulate you on your debut for your show, and praying that the foundation we've laid today would lead to better interviews in the future.
Thank you so much.
We can have inspiring stories that all of us can sit around and learn from other people too, because I think we have a lot in our community that we can tap into each other and just become better versions of ourselves. And I think God will be proud, will make our country proud, and make our families proud also.
Thank you so much. This is coming from a man who's exudes positivity. Everything he says is positive vibes. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Dr. Gyimah. So that has been Legacy Moment right here on Afro 614 with your girl, Ajwa Anachwa. And until I come your way next week, remember to stay safe always.